Today, let's talk about the film look. I feel like we are in a renaissance where creators are striving to recreate the magical film look in their own work, but through the convenience of using digital cameras we already own. However, these cameras and lenses are clean, clinical, super sharp, and mainly designed for capturing photos. In contrast, movies use specific cameras, cinema lenses, film stocks, and their inherent textures, tones, and imperfections for stylistic choices. Film is also very expensive to shoot and process, so how do we capture that magic using our favorite digital cameras we already have? Enter Dehancer, a tool that bridges the gap between digital cameras and the emotional resonance of film. And the key's in the name, essentially degrading your digital footage to make it stylized, echoing the look of your favorite movies. What this plugin is emulating is an accurate representation of film and its analog features to achieve a cinematic look, with classic film stocks such as Kodak Vision 3, Kodak Portra, CineStill 800 and more. And Dehancer has kindly sent me a trial copy of this program in exchange for this review, but they do not get any input into the video, and these opinions and experiences are my own. So what characteristics do you imagine when you think of film, and what are some of my favourite features in Dehancer? The foundation of choosing your stylistic look is selecting a film stock, and with over 60 profiles included in the Lightroom Pro version, choosing which one you will use needs to be done intentionally. You can't just select any film stock and slap it on the footage and hope for the best. Think of a film stock as the analog equivalent of modern settings like white balance and ISO. I like to convert my log footage to a Rec 709 color space, do any basic corrections, and then finally add the color grade in Dehancer Pro. You can convert log footage in Dehancer Pro as there are many built-in camera profiles. I'm just used to doing the conversion this way. Some of my favorite movies are shot on Kodak Vision 3 variants, but for this scene at sunset, it doesn't really suit the lighting, whereas Kodak Portra delivers a more balanced result. So it's important to match the film stock to the scene and the lighting conditions. This emulation is usually the final process in analog film production, but I find it has dramatic effect on your footage, so it's best to do it earlier in the emulation process. Think of this as the raw capture medium and transforming it into a final viewable image. I prefer the contrasted look of Kodak 2383 as it keeps the black black, whereas the Fuji 3513 creates a lifted blacks and doesn't really work for me in this footage. As with film stocks, you're going to want to choose your prints to suit the footage, lighting conditions and style you're going for, which would be normally decided pre-production. There's a really handy development sequence on the Dehancer blog which walks you through the process of developing your film look. If you want to pause this section and note down this flow, feel free to do so, and we'll jump into what might be everyone's favourite effect. Probably the aspect most associated with film look, resulting from how tiny particles in a film react to light. YouTube compression might not show this very well, but unlike the VR noise overlay in Premiere Pro or any random stock grain overlay, the grain in Dehancer actually looks like integral to the video. It feels tangible and realistic. I'm not sure how Dehancer has done this, but it works flawlessly. Whether you want to go for 8, 16, 35 or even large format 65mm film grain, it's built into Dehancer. One of my gripes, however, is this emulation is dialed to 100 off the bat, so it's best to take it down a notch to your own tastes. Now, halation, you might have seen this in analog film photography with a popular film stock called CineStill 800, which has some of the best halation known, and it's characterized by the red glow around the highlights. It works wonders on scenes with a strong light source, such as a backlit sunset shot, where you can see the edges of our subjects that have the recognizable red glow. This goes hand in hand with halation, bloom, and it's the reason why everyone loves black mist filters, and you get that dreamy soft glow in the highlights. In traditional days, this was originally achieved with optical filters, exotic lenses, and small format film, and I've tried doing something similar in Premiere Pro with Gaussian blur, but the bloom effect in Dehancer works so well, and you've got that flexibility to capture the cleanest, highest quality footage in camera and then degrade after the shoot. One of the features included in Dehancer Pro is Overscan. It drives controversy as it's not what you expect to see in real life once film has been developed and printed. The perforations, film gates and nearby frames are cropped out, but it does make for a nice creative effect. There is loads of control with these elements, and again you can showcase a plethora of variations: 8, 16, 35, and 65mm scans. They do make your footage look vintage, and I've been guilty of using them on some of my projects to highlight BTS or key moments in a video. However, the overscans in Dehancer Pro are fully customizable, perforations on or off, gate shapes, gate defocus, static or moving gate, so it's definitely a clutch to have these premium options. There are also other film-like characteristics available within the Dehancer Pro version, including film damage, which showcases dust scratches and hairlines, common artifacts of using film breath, the accidental change in exposure, contrast and color from frame to frame, film gate weave, the mechanical movement of the film when being pulled through a film camera or projector, and can be nice for making locked off shots look handheld. But probably one of my favorite features in Dehancer are the monitoring tools, because they aren't available in Premiere Pro. The false color tool and clipping tool is so powerful. It's something I never thought I actually needed until now. Sure, you can monitor in camera or with scopes, but it's a game changer for monitoring exposure or skin tones in Premiere Pro, because overlaid to your footage, it makes the tool more useful and efficient. A feature I can see myself using as a standalone product for all of my projects. If you're liking what you see so far and think Dehancer Pro or the Lite version could be for you, then use my code DarrellSWalker10 at checkout to receive a 10% discount. I will get a commission kickback, but it does help support this channel and I can make other videos for you. So now we've talked about and highlighted the characteristics of film and the Dehancer features, let's look at a quick development sequence in Premiere Pro for a longer form motorbike project I'm working on at the moment. And just to note, we are shooting on the Sony FX3 in S-Log3, A7 IV in Cine 4 and the Mavic 3 Pro in D-Log. I like to use the XAVCS 4K on the Sony and H.265 on the Mavic 3 Pro, as I find these work best with the MacBook M1 hardware. So we have our timeline here with corrected and converted footage where necessary. We have some footage from FX3, A7 IV and the Mavic 3 Pro at the end here, which also has the sky masked in to bring back the highlights. And then in the first shot we have this nice anamorphic flare that I have keyed in from Lens Distortions, just to add some extra spice to the footage. When we are thinking about film stocks as well, for this kind of shoot I wanted to keep it in keeping with, you know, modern superbikes. I don't need this to look crazy and very filmic, if you like. I don't want crazy grain, crazy halation, bloom, film damage and stuff like that. I just want it to be very subtle, and that's the kind of grade I've gone for. So if we turn Dehancer on, I'll just play it back again. As you can see, it's nothing too far from what we had originally, but it has got a little bit of extra spice on top of it. And I've tried to keep the sort of white balance of each shot correct to how it was shot originally. And if we just jump into my favorite clip and I'll cycle through Dehancer, lots of menus to go through. You can convert log footage inside Dehancer with all of these cameras to choose from, but we've already done that, so we'll leave it as Rec 709. For everything, we've gone for Kodak Portra 400, although except these two, I've gone for Kodak Ektar 100 because I feel like it suits the sort of blue look a bit more for the daytime shots. But let's dive back into my favorite clip, and we've also gone for Kodak Endura Glossy on all of these. I like this one and it adds a bit more contrast back into the clips. We have compressed the skies as well, just to give that like sort of film roll-off look to the highlights. And if we come further down, I've pushed the reds on this clip and the orange clips just to give them a bit of a boost in the highlights. Film grain as well, we have gone for 65mm purely because it's a larger format, therefore the grain isn't as noticeable, and I've even toned it down more to 50 because I felt like the 8, 16 and 35mm variants were just too much for this modern superbike look. Similar with Halation and Bloom, I've gone for 65mm 70. If I just turn the masks on, you can see the areas that we are affecting, which is a really nice tool to have inside of Dehancer. As I say again, it's just really nice to be subtle on this kind of shoot. And I've not done any extra sort of film damage, etc. on this shoot, just kept it clean. But as I was talking before, these are clutch, the monitoring tools, and it's definitely something I'm going to use in the future. you could immediately see if there's any clipped highlights or dropped shadows. So it's definitely something that I'm going to use in the future. Finally, you can adjust your total impact with your LUT if you feel like you've overkilled it a bit. But yeah, that is just a quick overview of what you can do in Dehancer. And with a few clicks, I think we've taken this footage from looking really cool and clean to something that could be in a movie. And I'm definitely going to use this on the full video. Is Dehancer for you? Well, it's for anyone wanting to emulate what film looks like in a digital space. Filmmakers, production houses, pro colorists, anyone creating content and looking for that stylized look. Probably wouldn't recommend this for anyone on an older generation MacBook, as this will probably destroy your machine. It's definitely for Premiere Pro users, but if you have Davinci Studio, then there are some similar emulations built in, so it'll be worth testing both Davinci and Dehancer and seeing which one best suits you. And as you've seen, it really can achieve a film look. I think most users will probably dial back the emulations, as some of them can look quite heavy off the bat. And for me, not used to film, it definitely feels overpowering. But this is the beauty of Dehancer. You can adjust all of the options to suit your style and project at hand. There are a ton of built-in film stocks, prints, halation, bloom, etc. So this could save you on buying multiple assets from multiple creators, mist filters and overscans, as everything's just built into Dehancer Pro, ensuring maximum flexibility, letting you capture the highest quality footage. And this practice is being used more and more in Hollywood, the likes of Gareth Edwards on The Creator and Matt Reeves, Greg Fraser on The Batman, helping them dial in their look post-production. The monitor tools are something incredible, and I didn't think I actually needed it. I'm not sure why Premiere Pro doesn't have that built in from the go. The Pro version is expensive, but it's a lifetime license, so it's a one and done thing. Thankfully, no subscription model. But I think the Lite version has most of the features you want to spice up your footage. What don't I like about Dehancer? Well, it's very GPU heavy, so you might need a rendered timeline for smooth playback. I have a M1 MacBook Pro with 16GB RAM, 8-core CPU, 14-core GPU, and it sort of works without having to do any extra rendering. And when I try and add VR grain in Premiere Pro, this kills my machine, so Dehancer is handling everything smoother than VR effects in Premiere. One thing I prefer is if all emulations were turned off by default, then I could build my look from scratch rather than having to dial every setting back from 100. For me, less is more depending on the project, and you don't need that intense look that screams film. Unfortunately, in Premiere Pro, you can't buy the emulations separately for some reason. I know Premiere Pro is relatively new compared to the Davinci and Final Cut versions, so hopefully they get added in the future. Wrapping up, Dehancer is an incredible tool, and it's definitely something I will value in my workflow going forward, and it gives me so many options for stylized looks, and it brings the artistry of film into the hands of us creators. If you're chasing that film look, it might just be the tool for you. Don't forget to use my code DarrellSWalker10 for 10% off at checkout if you do decide it's for you. And let me know in the comments below if you plan on using Dehancer for any of your projects, or you have any more questions about the emulations we've looked at. I'll be happy to answer them. Thanks always for watching. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, comment, subscribe for the YouTube gods, and I'll see you in the next one.